big part, especially for people who don't really have much experience.
Testing? Testing, that's loud, okay, hi. Okay, yeah, that's better. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started then. You know, hopefully more people will wander in, but this is a good start. All right. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm part of the USS Windrunner, which is a Star Trek club here in Vegas. We do a lot of charity work, a lot of cosplay, a lot of fandom. And I'm gonna just kind of go down the line and have everyone introduce yourself and what organization or organizations you cosplay with.
Hi, I'm Keelan Ann, and I am an agent for Critical Care Comics. We are a superhero-based cosplay group with Marvel and DC, and we visit the hospitals, the kids that are in critical care.
It's okay.
Okay, we'll share.
All right. Trying to impress the Jedi. My name is Chris Solomon. I am the Vice President of the USS Windrunner that Amanda Seifer is a part of. We are a costuming, fandom, and community service organization attached to Star Trek: The Fleet. That's our national org, and I'm very happy to be here amongst fellow nerds that are just as passionate to turn our interests and our projects into something actionable for the community. So thank you all for being here.
I am Eric Recoletta. I am actually representing North here in Las Vegas, which is part of an international group of with temples all over the world. I think we're up to like 35. And our group is also part of, I keep stomping the table here. So. Our group is also part of the Las Vegas Star Wars Club, which includes the 501st, Vader's Fist, the Rebel Legion, which Coruscant base here in Vegas, and then we also have a chapter of the Mandalorian Mercs, which is, I think it's the Sarlacc clan, and then we also have the Las Vegas Star Wars Collective. I remembered the name. So, yeah.
Awesome. So we, as all different organizations, they do a lot of different good charity, a lot of good outreach programs in the community. Does anyone have a particular favorite events that you've done? So there's been a lot of toy drives, a lot of libraries, events, visiting children in hospitals and things like that. Is there any particular favorite events or favorite memory of an event that you've done for anyone?
Recently, I had the opportunity to do a very special hospital visit. Whenever we visit a hospital that we've never gotten to go to before, because they've sent out a request, they want some agents and some heroes out, it's very different than the other hospital visits. You know, you get to meet the kids for the first time, you get to see the whole new place, everybody's kind of parading around. Some of the kids got to come out and actually visit with us, and we got to open up toys and play, and it was just a very hands-on experience. I really enjoyed that. That was over with UMC, and it was beautiful. It was very different than one of our normal hospital visits, because we don't always get to sit down, open up the toys that we've gotten through our toy drives, and actually put them together and play with the kids. So very different, but probably my favorite so far since I've been with Critical Care Comics.
I can't particularly say that there's a favorite, because there's just so many things, so many moving parts. Part of the just the gravitas of what we've been able to accomplish as a group. But I will say that one of the ones that kind of fall in line with the values and principles of the organization. We love doing the Pride Parade. That was a big thing for us. If you're a Trekkie, you know that infinite diversity and infinite combinations is a big part of our effort, and we really like making sure that everyone feels safe and affirmed in our organization. Being openly gay myself, it's a very important thing. And then Amanda has actually been a really key lead for our food distribution charity projects with the Just One Project. They're a group in town, and once a month. Amanda leads our Trekkies and liaisons with as many people as possible to ensure that Las Vegans are not choosing between a bag of groceries and paying for the rent at the same time. So it's really important that you know, I love everything, every single event that we can do, but I think my favorite part is just being a part of something like this where we can, you know, shoot ideas towards each other and just kind of see what works. And so I really appreciate the work that everyone up here has done, and looking forward to learning a little bit more as well.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll have to kind of jump in along with the rest of my hosts up here. You know, we've done a lot of hospital visits along with critical care. And we're usually, like, whenever we do conventions, we usually have critical care right next to us. So it's always fun to recognize a bunch of the you know, the people that, you know, we end up having, you know, becoming a family because of all the conventions we do together. But, you know, and we also share members between the groups. So that being said, you know, like, I know with critical care, we have a particular guy who is doing a lot of the hospital visits, and he, you know, like, he does stuff for also Rebel Legion, or not Rebel Legion, but the Star Wars clubs in general. And so, I mean, I love the hospital visits, just seeing kids, just seeing the faces light up. That's always been a big thing with me, you know, as far as you know, I've always wanted to bring, you know, smiles to children's faces, you know, and then also, you know, like, with the amount of stuff that we've done, we have diversity is the big thing up here. We have, like, in like my group alone in Saber Guild, you know, we have a lot of people with varying backgrounds. So, you know, yes, Pride was really strong for us too, compared to you know, like a lot of the other events. Everyone was excited for Pride this year. So, you know, we just, that's one thing we don't like to turn people away. We definitely don't turn people away because of you know, your background, who you are, you know, like, you know, the thing is, we'll always welcome you in, and we wanted to kind of show that this year with everyone too. So.
Awesome. And it seems like a lot of our groups do a lot of work with children. I know a couple of us up here are parents as well, which is a big part of why we enjoy working with kids so much. Is anyone who is a parent or has children in their lives have any tips for other parents on how to get their own children more involved, or any things that you plan to do with your own children to get them more involved in the nerd community and the charity and community outreach community?
Well, I have two little girls. Luckily, my wife, she's not really a big Star Wars fan, but
Is she Trekkie at least?
No, she's not very big into sci-fi. But the thing is, she lets me be me, you know, which is really cool. So, my first daughter, her name is Leia.
Of course it is.
And my second daughter, her name is Kyla Ray. So definitely having the name helps, of course. My daughter is still afraid of Wookiee, but you know, it's cool to kind of like ease them into it. You know, show them a little bit each day. My daughter recognized, oh, that's Star Wars now. You know, so point at Star Wars. Oh, that's Star Wars. You know, so she kind of gets it that she's kind of destined to fall into that track, even though I have a feeling she'll end up being a Trekkie one of these days. But
Excellent. Step to our side.
I have two daughters. We actually share one of them.
Yes.
They're beautiful. They're wonderful. I have found that anytime I've tried to push my love of anything that I love onto either of my girls, that it's not as successful as finding something they already love. As much as I wanted my oldest daughter to be into Harry Potter, she wasn't into it until she started reading it herself without me saying, hey, read it. When I wanted her to be into superheroes, she found her own superhero from her own newer generation of heroes, and I jumped right on into it with her. She got the costume, she wanted to do videos with me, and I was like, let's all over it. Like, it's not Marvel, it's not DC, but Ladybug is awesome. Like, I love that for you, let's do it. Let's go
Ladybug's
forward.
so good.
She's great, so I feel like if you can support what because they're gonna have their own. Lord of the Rings is old.
It's for old people,
It's,
all right.
It's old. My heart. But they'll find their things that they're into, and just like when we were kids, we wished our parents would have loved Lord of the Rings and not told us, what is that weird thing you're into? I just want to support what they're into and what they're loving. And so when they come to me and they're like, I'm really getting into this new thing, it's about unicorns and this and that, I'm like, okay, then let's be into it, because that's your nerd fandom, that's where you're going. And they'll slowly get into your stuff too, because they'll want to know, well, what do you like, Mom? So now my daughter wants to watch like Star Wars with me, and I'm like, okay, cool, you're there, let's do it. But it takes time. And I think if you just let them find their stuff and show you're interested in it, they'll be interested in your stuff too. That kind of works out for me.
I just jump off on that. I feel like I was really lucky that growing up, my parents were super hardcore Trekkies, and it worked out that I turned out to be one too. So like after having that great experience, like as a kid, like growing up, like we watch Star Trek together as a family every night before bed. We get at least 2 episodes in together. Like I really wanted to have that with my own kids, but Serrano was a little more hesitant with the Star Trek. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of for old people. I don't know.
That is right.
But luckily, my youngest, I just made her first Starfleet uniform, and she loves it so much. She was having such a great time posing in front of for everyone at the convention on Friday. She had a really good time with it, so I at least have one Trekkie. We got one. Although she does try to force choke people a lot, so I might have to watch that.
Yeah, 13 is like the youngest. Okay.
She's 4, so
Okay, so
we got
it's
some
9 more
time.
years.
I have not yet received the divine call to have children yet.
That's okay, no, you don't
I
have
am
to.
still kind of growing up myself. I'm turning 24 on Saturday. So but I am going to say that I am an educator by training. I was a grant-funded instructor over at UNR's Cooperative Extension. And kids were a big part of supplemental youth development education was a big part of my background. And I integrated a hell of a lot of cosplay, a hell of a lot of nerdiness to make sure that these kids had just as much access to comic books, to a variety of different things, sci-fi, being able to see people in cosplay is like really exciting to them. And so I was really happy and pleased to go and shower kids with that, because they need that kind of stuff. When you're a kid and you see what's going on, you want to have a little bit of an escape. You want to be able to use your imagination a little bit. It really does help them, growing up. And so, to have cosplay parents, those are the biggest people that will show up to the soccer game, that'll show up to the school recital, right? Because that's just as important to them as it is coming to a convention or coming to an expo where you can see a bunch of nerds that just do a bunch of, a varying amount of things in such an eccentric, clearly, but very, loving way. And I love the fact that I belong to a community that just showers kids with that. And I may not have kids right now, but I say this to all the Windrunner parents. It's your kids are my kids. So I'm gonna make sure that they're taken care of just as don't ask for money, but
But yeah, you can be all the kids' cool uncle.
I'm always happy to take on the role of uncle. So that's definitely one of the things I'd love to contribute.
Awesome. And anyone want to share what first got you interested in cosplay, how you started out, and if you have any advice for any new cosplayers, maybe just getting into the community.
I first got into cosplay when I accidentally went from a rodeo convention area and bumped into Las Vegas Comic Con, actually. They were
Just
both
accidentally
being,
wandered in.
okay, so maybe I saw signage and I didn't want to go to the rodeo with the people that were trying to drag me to a rodeo, and so I bumped into Las Vegas Comic Con, but it was wonderful. It was out at South Point a few years ago when they had a rodeo and the con at the same time. And I want to say that it was shortly after that I met a random girl that I didn't know, who then invited me to her house to dress up as one of the Sanderson sisters and to do a photo shoot with her. She was like, would you like to do that with me? And I was like, I don't even know you, but I guess I'm showing up at your house, because I'll do it. And I had always wanted to, I'd always wanted to take that leap. And I think I just felt like that I couldn't. I looked at cosplayers and I thought, oh my gosh, you look amazing, all of you. You guys look great. And I didn't think I could do that. And I think it was just that one invite of, come do it with me. Come do this, that jumped me right on in. And if I could say to anybody who's just new starting out, you're telling yourself you can't do it, you totally can. You can do it. It's so much fun. Put something together. I pulled stuff out of my closet to be Mary Sanderson. I went to a thrift store, I grabbed a few oversized blouses that I could cinch together, and I showed up at that girl's house and I had the funnest time I had ever had starting out as a cosplayer. It was great. Jump in, have fun. That's all it's for, is for having fun, making friends, making memories.
Yeah, I love that. It's also just like find your people, find your group that like will invite you in and like support you and give you that kind of advice and give like just the confidence that yeah, you can do this too. You're good. Be your Sanderson sister.
The question was how we first.
Yeah, how you first got into it. If you have any advice for other people that are just getting into it.
Like a lot of people during the pandemic, just trying to find connection was like a really important thing. And it's actually a broader anthropological issue that I hope is being studied at length, you know, just with the disconnect and the loneliness that people felt over the past couple of years because of the pandemic. And how did I find you folks? My good. It started off, I was serving with AmeriCorps at the time. And if folks don't know what AmeriCorps is, it's like the domestic Peace Corps. It's a lot about community development and getting out there on the front lines trying to help underserved communities. And I came across this community garden actually, where a gentleman who was a big Trekkie brought us along, and then it just turned into something beautiful and transcended just being a Trekkie. It became about community bonding and actually community networking. And I have never had any experience in cosplay. Amanda is still holding me to account on a lot of the areas where I need to improve in cosplay. She got me these pips, and I'm pretty sure that I put them on the wrong way. But,
I think they're in the wrong order, but it's okay. I wasn't going to say anything.
But I think that's a very important thing, that if there's any advice I could give anyone, just rely on your friends that you're going to be making in this entire process. Like, it's never going to be perfect, but the edges get smoothed over more and more with the impact that your team has. And I definitely would love to shout out Critical Care Comics and Norshetta Saber Guild for doing that for their respective networks. And now it's like a huge integrated, mutual, interdependent network of just love and nerdiness. So who can complain about something like that?
So mine's a little long.
It's okay, we have time.
But
there's no panels after this one. We can go as long as we want.
yeah, I know, right? So when back when this little known movie named Star Wars came out, I told myself I wanted to be an X-wing pilot when I grew up. So that was kind of my goal in hindsight, or in the back of my head, it was kind of the goal. And as you grow up, you kind of have to suppress the nerdiness a little bit, because people think, oh man, you're into that stuff. And so like growing up in high school in the 80s, because I'm that old, you kind of have to push it in the back, even though I was a band nerd back then too. So but when I got into college, it seems like the people I was hanging out with, in band, they were sitting there watching Pokemon, and I'm like, well, why can't I be who I want to be, so I ended up, finding out, meeting a bunch of Star Wars people in the group, and within my college, and then, it turns out one of them ended up working for Lucasfilm, which is awesome, but just joining that group, and then playing, games, you meet more people, playing Star Wars Galaxies, which was a game that was out back in the early 2000s, I think. you know, like you end up meeting more people, making more connections. So I met this guy named Ryan, who happened to be part of Sunrider base in Southern California, which is the Rebel Legion down there. So he was the C-3PO, and he's like, you know, you really want to get into cosplay, you know, I can start helping you out and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, like, when you see people dressed up, yeah, exactly, you think, oh, I can't be like that. You know, and for me, I've always kind of been a little husky, you know, so it's like, you know, I'm not going to make a good X-Wing pilot or a Jedi or something like that, but, you know, like, you've got to get to the point where, you know, you just got to embrace it and be who you are, be yourself. And the thing is, it's like, you know, yeah, you know, because of like how I am, I might have health issues that prevent me from doing the splits. I used to do that when I was younger, but
Teenage
March
me to do that,
background. So the thing is that, you know, like, the thing is though, is like if you really want to be part of something, you'll find a way to make it happen, and then you'll also have the friends to support you. So when I used to live in Seattle, and that was back then, and then I moved to Vegas, and I started going to school, and all I did was work in school. And then, and I did that for about 12 years, and then I'm like, you know, my life is sitting here in front of the computer. I have no physical interaction with people because all my friends are online, you know, because we're in that type of society where, you know, like people get linked to stuff that are online. And so I ended up looking up this group on Facebook, you know, for Star Wars groups, and Saber Guild popped up. And so that was about, I want to say about 6 years ago. And I mean, it was the best move I ever made because I went from having no real friends in Vegas to having a family. And then, you know, not only do I have Saber Guild, but then I have, you know, the people in the 501st and Rebel Legion. It's like the Star Wars groups are all one big family. And then you go to the conventions, and then you meet more people, like Critical Care, like Windrunner, and it's just like, you know, you have so much in common with these people. Like, these people are teachers, these people are project managers, you know, they might work in a store, they might be tattoo artists, they might be, but then you all have that love for the fandom that you're in. And the thing is you'll be there to support each other, to help each other with costumes, to you know, just like, you know, you get to the point now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I watch a TV show, I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. You
all
know?
the time. I was like,
So-
I can make that.
Yeah.
Like, I have literally zero experience in crafting that type of item at all, but I'm like, I can make that.
Battle
I feel
station
confident.
shields up right now.
So the thing is getting into these groups, they, you know, yeah, you build a family, but also it's a support group for your nerdiness. But don't ask them to say, hey, don't tell me not to buy this, because they'll be enablers. They'll say, no, you got to get into this costume. So 2-3 costumes later, yeah, I'm at. So.
Yeah, joining a cosplay group has definitely been a very expensive endeavor. I don't even know how many Star Trek costumes at this point. I'm scared to even try to count them all. But yeah, I feel like the biggest thing, like, if you want to like get involved in the cosplay scene and community service scene, is just find your people. There's for sure groups online, groups in the community out there who are interested in the same weird, nerdy stuff that you are. So find those people, find the group, and if the group doesn't exist, create the group, and let them find you. And then once you've got your group going, you can figure out what everyone's skill sets are, what kind of difference you can work together with to make a difference in the community. So if you're all great at choreographing lightsaber battles, great, put on performances for people. If you're great at doing your superhero stuff, visit kids in the hospital who enjoy that particular superhero. Yeah. Does anyone want to share anything else, or do you want to open up to questions? All right. Does anyone have a question? No? You look like you have a question. Not to pick up the spot. No?
Please, we know this is a packed audience. So.
I know, it's very intimidating to talk in front of such a huge crowd, but... Wow, Well, I guess we might be done then.
So let me ask you guys this: what brought you here today, like in this room? Did you want to learn more about like kind of the stuff that we do? Well, what's your interest?
I think I've actually chatted before. I don't do a Star Wars cosplay, and so I didn't know that there were non-Star Wars community groups. The only groups I knew of were the Star Wars warriors.
Star Wars does take a lot of credit.
Yeah, well,
They're
like,
pretty big, yes. Star Wars is pretty big, yeah. It's hard to get away.
Star Wars crew. I'm also a Star Wars fan besides me, just like Kiki, like no. And so this is cool to know that there are because I'm yeah, that was my husband. That I made his shirt that he just had to go do things like
Yeah.
So this is cool to learn. Hey, maybe
Yeah, I feel like there's just so much overlap between the groups too. Like we have people that are that are in the lightsaber guild stuff, but they're also in the Star Trek with the fleets. So there's a lot of overlapping. A lot of people that want to be part of all the groups, which is cool.
Yeah, and our captain is a huge participant of their Desert Breeze Park lightsaber practice. I eventually got to get over to go check it out.
Yeah, hang out.
Yeah, they do an amazing events. They do amazing stuff at parades. So but yeah, and I know a lot of folks over at Critical Care Comics. Like we all, some of us didn't know that we were all a little connected to each other, and then the more that we unravel that package, it just becomes more exciting as we go along. So you join one of us, you're joining all of us, really. So
Right. Once you join one group, you've made all the connections.
Yeah.
Like someone else in that group can point you to the next group, and they point you to the other group. So you'll find your people for sure.
yeah.
I am very new to Critical Care Comics. I think I've been in it since maybe beginning of October, end of September was when I first joined as an agent. And I definitely had been following them for a while. So one of my big things is that I didn't realize how easy it was to join. So as I watched them for several years and I loved everything they did, and I knew I had friends that were in it that do amazing things. I know Captain America, and I know these different characters, but I never asked hey, how easy was it for you to get in there? Hey, how did you join? And literally one day, just on a whim, I think I saw that they posted something on Facebook that they were, always looking for new agents and new heroes. And I was like, well, what's an agent? And I went to their website and literally just clicked a button and filled in my name that I wanted to be an agent. And I was like, wow, that was easy. And within a few days, I got an email from their recruiting team, and it was, hi, would you like to meet up and have some coffee? And we're gonna interview you to become an agent. And it was so easy. It was just a very easy process, way smoother than I, for some reason, made it out to be in my head. And you don't have to just come in as a hero. The agent role that I have played for months has been so important. The heroes can't be over at the cart picking out the comics. When a kid says my favorite hero is Batman, they can't look through the 50 comics we have sitting there to grab out a few Batmans to give this kid. That's what the agent is doing very quickly as we listen in on the room where they're visiting and grab, okay, Spider-Man, yes, Batman, yes, and he likes some Superman, okay, grab some of those real quick. He just mentioned Thor, grab one Thor. Okay, here's your pile hero. They have seconds. They don't leave the room for 5 minutes. They want to come walk out, grab the toys, grab the comics, and they want to go back in to hang out with the kid. The kid doesn't want to wait 20 minutes for them to come back with comics. So that role is just keeping things moving, keeping things going. It's so important, and I didn't realize there was that background role that is just so integral to our hospital visits. Yes, I'm applying to be a hero, but I never intend to stop being an agent. I know that I'll continue to agent at any of the events where I don't think I can be a hero at that time. It's just so much fun. If you're looking to get involved, I'm sure each of these groups have a very similar process where it is not as complicated as what you thought it might be to join.
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of fears about gatekeeping and the different nerd communities and stuff, but I feel once you actually talk to the people, most people are pretty inclusive, pretty open to bringing you in, even if you're not an expert in that particular fandom. People are not going to give you a hard time about it, and if they are, then they're not your people. Find the next group, no problem.
I will say that there are it did take me a little while to get into the cosplay groups here in Vegas, just because, like, sometimes the leadership of groups aren't as welcoming as you'd hope. So, you know, if that's the case, you know, like for me, all it took was a little waiting to find out that, hey, you know, like I don't know. It's just like sometimes you just don't get along with people, right? So, like it just happened for me to find a group that was more welcoming and more accepting. So sometimes it might take a little bit to look around a little bit, but you know, but they're right where it doesn't take that much to kind of put your foot in the door, I guess. We had this gal, I love her to death, but she says, you know, I was stalking you guys for 2 years before I decided to come join you guys. You know, and all she had to do was just come up and say, hi, I'm interested in being part of Saber Guild, or I'm interested in dressing up in Star Wars stuff, and then we could have helped her, you know what I mean? But it's just taking that first step, you know, like at conventions we can go up to you and say, you know, hi, are you interested in Star Wars, or interested in Star Trek, or interested in this fandom? And if you just decide to run away and hide, then and not let us know what's going on, then we can't help, you know. But if you just take that step and say, yeah, you know, yeah, I am interested. How do I join? How do I join you guys? Then, you know, we can sure help direct you to where to go and what to do.
Yeah, but even if like you're like not super confident in your costuming, or like that you already have your ability to make a costume, like most groups have like a point person or a few point people that can point you in the right direction for your costuming. Like for Windrunner, we have our quartermaster. So anytime a new member joins, the quartermaster generally will reach out and let you know, hey, this is the resources we normally use for our Starfleet uniforms. This is where you get your pips. This is a great spot to get your comm badges. There's a few different types. So, like, once you find your group, like, they can generally help you if you're not super confident in your costuming yet. It's not a big deal.
No, yeah, when I went through this process, that I'm literally in the middle of completing it this next week to hopefully get approved to be Power Girl. I've gotten to first talk to the costuming team, because there are certain points that they want to see everything. They want to see, what is your costume going to look like, and they want to give you an approval that, hey, you did it, you're good to go, or are you missing anything? Is there anything that you need help finding? It's been an amazing process, and just like she said, you go to your group and you ask, hey, I can't find the thing, and they have so many people that will just jump in and say, I will help you find the thing.
Yeah. It's much easier for a group of 20 people to find that one thing than just you by yourself, for sure.
I tell everyone this: don't let the Klingon armor and the Klingon persona that Amanda has in her, you know, warrior spirit intimidate you. I swear she's the sweetest person.
Thank you.
We are.
Well, I'm usually an Orion, not a Klingon, but you know,
Yeah.
we're mixing it up today.
We are usually, yeah, we are very much welcoming, and we want to support a space that everyone feels welcome to join. And, you know, like, the only one you have to be worried about, though, is our captain. I hope she's watching. She is a fierce leader, our fearless leader. She is super awesome. Her and I work, her name is Rochelle Messner, and she's the captain of our organization, and I'm very, very proud to work with her. She really does know how to fight, though, so just letting you know.
Oh yeah, she does. She has what, like a brown belt or whatever? She's very tough.
She has every belt.
She has all the belts.
Every belt.
She even scared us